The Bible says the Jews are black. You understand?
A nation of priests.
They ain't gonna never read you that.
But what happened?
They ain't gonna tell you that the Jews are so-called black people.
This book of the law of the Lord is only for
It's only a matter of time
only for us. It was given to us.
before the remnant of Israel
That's our
wakes
Lord.
up.
That's right. That's our big brother. That's the one that's coming back
we
for
ride.
us. Back for us.
We come from a bloodline of priests, sold into captivity. Father, break these chains off me, make me free. In time, ambition, 2024 AD. Live from the belly of the beast, Babylon. Should we stay, should we flee? In time's ambition.
Shalom, shalom, Israel. Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahushai Barakatah has given praises to the Heavenly Father in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Like his tonight, I'm kind of rocking solo. Brother's got some things going on, but we got a good lesson for you. It's going over the importance of a name. When I was thinking about this lesson, I was thinking more so of what our people need, because we're trying to get back to our culture, we're trying to get back to our heritage. So what is it about a name? Like it's because my name and your name are different, but in the Hebrew, our names mean something. Names have meanings, things like that. So I just want to get into that, like it's, and try to give a lesson that can be edifying and something you can take with you, and you can go back and you can listen to, and you can show people why we do what we do. Because when I came into this walk, I decided that I was going to go back to our customs, back to our ways that our Heavenly Father gave us. So what I did was gave myself a name. I had to give myself a name. I prayed about it, and the Spirit led me to a name. Okay, so I pray that when you hear this lesson, you go through it, that you may have the same spirit and you want to get back to your customs and to our ways that the Father has prescribed for us, and you pick a name for yourself, like it's to call yourself, like it's, and let it be a memorial or whatnot, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna wait a little bit longer, see who we get into the class. I'm gonna wait just a little bit longer, see if anybody else comes in. Like it's, I pray your week is going well. I pray everything is good. It's been a tiring week for myself. I'm trying to get myself mentally, physically, and spiritually in shape. So I've been trying to stay in our scriptures, trying to stay in the spirit and whatnot. Because in these last days, we got to make sure we're all well rounded in our faith, like it's our mental, how we see things and understand things, and how we deal with things, and also in our walk with the Most High. You know, like it's, because it's okay to be physically, like it's physically in shape, but it is not okay to not be spiritually in shape as well. These are things that we have to take upon ourselves and come to an understanding of, right? Right, so anybody that comes in, shalom, shalom. I guess I'm not gonna wait any longer. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this class. Talks about a name. So the first thing you have to ask yourself, what does it mean to have a name, right? What does it really mean to have a name? So let's pull that up right here. I'm gonna pull it up on the screen, and we're gonna get the definition of a name. So I went ahead, I just did a quick, easy search. Any of y'all can do this. And hopefully we can see this. I'm gonna see if I can make it a little bigger, because it does look a little small. Let's see here. There we go. So when I put in our search, when I put in the search engine, it went ahead and I put in what is a name, the name by definition. When we think of a name, it gives us, it's a noun, because most times your name is a proper noun. It gives the a name an exact thing. So it's saying the name. a word or set of words by which a person, me and you, an animal, a place, or a thing is known, addressed, or referred to. So colloquially, like you would say, I look at to be a black man. That's how they would address me. That would be my name amongst them, a black man. But we know that we that are in the truth, we have opened our eyes and seen that we are the children of Israel. Us being the children of Israel, that's the name that we should be holding. Now, the name Israel holds a meaning in itself. It means prince of the power with God. Hey, Shalom. Shalom, Labella. Shalom. The water for joining. Wonderful. Wonderful. It's wonderful to have our people come in. Hey, but what we're going into this is that a name's important. Jacob, his name was changed in the Bible to give him a better fitting name, because that's how he's going to be referred to. And you see in the Bible, throughout the Bible, Jacob's referred. You'll see Jacob or you'll see Israel. Like yes, you'll see the children of Israel, but we know that Jacob and Israel are the same person. So when I was looking this up, I was like, okay, let's get a little deeper into it. What does it mean to have a name in the Hebrew? Like it's what does it mean in the Hebrew to have a name? I'm gonna pull that up. I'm gonna go to Genesis. I want to say it's Genesis 2. I'm gonna just go to Genesis 2 and 19. I'll bring it up here quickly. I'm gonna share this one. I'm gonna go into the interlinear. Should see that on the screen. Okay, here we go. All right, get rid of that. So this is Genesis 2 and 19. Right. And it read I'm gonna read it in the King James. But I wanted to bring this up so that we can have this as a reference point. So I'm gonna read this in the King James, Genesis 2 and 19. And it reads, and out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living thing, that was the name thereof. So this is where we see Adam. He's been placed in the garden and now he's about to name things. Now, when we look at this in the Hebrew, you'll see the word right here, name. This is H8034. The word in the modern Hebrew as Shem, but in the Paleo we say Sham. You got the Shah right here. You have the Shah, and then the or the in the Mem or the Ma. So you got Shem right there. And as you're looking at it, it says the meaning is an appellation, which basically means something referred to or a name or a title. And it says a mark, a memorial of individuality, honor, authority, and character. So now we know that what a name is. We've got the modern term for it, which gives you a title or a reference. But in the Hebrew, the word sham gives you that the name is a memorial for an individual, means that it's for a memory. And it's an honor. It's marked as an honor, marking as authority and a character. Now, as we go through this and we're thinking about this, all of these things you can see all through the scriptures. Like this, you can see it all through the scriptures. Different things have different names. We have different locations and whatnot. But what do those names mean? And when do you really get a name? When do you get a name? it it's not something that you would really think of, like especially in our walk, because we already when we came into this walk, every one of us wasn't titled an Israelite or didn't know that they were Israelites. So you just got the name that your mom and dad gave you, right? Like it's and they gave you that name for a reason, but that's not the name that the Most High. And in most cases, I'll say in most cases, because some of us were led of the Spirit to have these names, and we do use those names. But in most cases, when you get a name is when you're born, right? The only time I can really say that I can't think of when anybody was give when they were given a name was Eve. Uh, Eve wasn't born. Adam and Eve, you don't see that they had parents and then their parents gave them this name. You just see that Adam was given the name Adam, like it's in Genesis, and Eve was named by her husband. So there's usually a process of which we go by of naming things, and we name things according to how they are, what they are, their importance and specialties. Like it's in the scheme of things, we get a name at birth, right? Like it's and as I was learning more and more about this, because as I'm learning to teach, I'm learning things myself, right? I learned something that I never really thought of when I was going through the scriptures. It was it's a custom that when you get a name, it happens the time of when you are circumcised. I didn't know that. Think about it. When you think about it, Abraham, he got circumcised and now he was first Abram and then he got named to Abraham. Let me see if I can bring that up real quick on the screen. I'm just gonna type it in real quick because I just thought about that. The spirit led me to that to Abram. Okay, go here. It's gonna go. This is 11. I think it's 29. That's where I want to go. Of course, it wants to be weird right now. I'm trying to do this. It's 11. Of course, it's trying to format itself because of all these crazy ads. Salakia. I might have to just bring this up in the blue letter. 'Cause I got the blue letter on the other screen. Let me just share this tab over here. So this is Genesis 11 and 29, and it says, "And Abram, which is his name before, and Nahor took them wives, and the name of Abram's wife was Sarah, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, and the daughter of Ron, and the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah." Now it's just showing you here that Abram did have another name before him, before he was changed, right? Before the Most High got a hold of Abraham and told him to leave the country, he had the name Abram that was given to him at birth. And there's at times we see this, and I'm gonna try to see if I can pull it up on the other screen as well. Like it's when we first got our first glance of Abraham. Because I think it was I want to say that was early in Genesis, not too far down. Hold on. Slovakia. I should have already had this up, but the computer kind of wanted to crash out on me earlier. So I'm gonna go here to 11 because what ends up happening is we get named by our patriarchs. Like the patriarchs named each other. They named each other, and then there are points in time where the Most High then went back and he gave us a different name. But with that, we know that Abram was called out of his country, and then he named him later on Abraham. But to get back to my point, that you're named during your birth, and then at the time of circumcision, at the same thing. So it's usually you would be circumcised and named on that same day. And I'm gonna bring that. I'm just gonna go ahead and follow up on that one. We're gonna go to Luke. We're gonna go to Luke 2, and we'll see that in Luke 2, and it should be 21. Here we go. This is Jesus or Yahushua was presented at the temple. This is Luke 2 and 21. And when the 8 days were accomplished for the circumcision of the child, his name was called Jesus or Yahushua, which was so named of the angel before he was conceived in the womb. That just shows you right there that our people would wait to the 8th day. It became a custom to wait to the 8th day when you got circumcised or brought into the covenant, because that's what the circumcision was. The circumcision was to bring it into the covenant, to give them a name. Like sometimes the mother would give the name, sometimes the father would give the name. But the importance of it was that you got a name from your family, from your father, from your mother. They would have these things. They would give you that name. Like yes, and then it just show you a little bit of history and a little bit of custom. You would give the name out on the 8th day when they were circumcised. So that's just one time that you like it's when you get your name during your circumcision when you enter into the covenant with the Most High, and like it was given like it's from your family, right? And we just proved that in Luke 2 and 21. Is now there are other times you get names, and I mentioned that a little earlier. I kind of jumped the gun, but we also get change your name change when you come into like different events in your life. We talked about Jacob. We talked about Abraham, but now Jacob, his name was changed from Jacob to Israel. That was in a event that happened in his life that the Most High he intervened and he changed his name. That happens. You see that a lot in this. You don't see it a lot, but you see it. You see it in those accounts, the account of Jacob and Abraham. Those are the times that you would get a name change, like when certain events in the Bible happen. That would come up then. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. I'll give you a good account of it, because it's nothing more important than knowing these things. Like it's knowing how he came about and how these things happen in our lives and how we get these names, because they're very important. Let's see if I can get to it real quick. Mm, A lot of this information that I'm passing on to you, I learned from it's a book that's called the customs. It's called the Handbook of Bible Manners and Customs. There's one by James Freeman. There's some other ones that were published as well later on, I think, but mainly the one I have is the one from James Freeman. Right. It gives us a lot of good information that I didn't really even know about until I started to really dive into a little bit of our ancestry and customs as Israelites of what we would do. Because these things are important. They lay down the foundations. Like we have to believe, we come to the knowledge that we are Israelites, and we repent of the things that we done in our past life. And now we got to pick up the new. We got to put on the new man. And this new man, I feel that you would need to have a new name for this new man, right? You put like they say, the new me, right? So in the spiritual sense, you're putting on a new you. You're putting off the old ways and picking up the new. That's some things that we have to continue to do in this walk. Now, I was thinking, how can you, when you decide you want to come in the truth, like it's, and you're like, man, I do want a name. So, how were some of the ways that our ancestors they got their names, right? Like it's other than the fact that they were born, their parents were like, okay, I'm gonna name you this. But why did people name their children these things? These are things that you have to kind of ask yourself. So I kind of went through the scriptures and I was looking at it. And I just wanted to lay out a way that you can try to figure out the name that the Spirit leads you to. I guess you can go through it and you can look through the scriptures to figure this out. But one way was one thing that they would use, they would actually name their children after animals because the attributes of animals were some of the things they did in the East. Like it's where we come from. They call it the Middle East. I don't know why, but it's called the East or the ancient Near East. In the customs in our lands, we would name people by certain things. One of them is by animals, right? Like it's you would name after an animal, and the first person that jumped to my head was Rachel. Because when I was looking at it, I was like, okay. When I first came into truth, I was learning all these things. Rachel was one of the when we were learning about the patriarchs. Like it's the 12 patriarchs went through the story of how Jacob became Israel and we became the children of Israel. I was looking into his name, which we know Jacob means the supplanter. It means to supplant, right? Like it's and he got his name changed to Israel by wrestling with an angel, and he wouldn't give up. He didn't want to give up. He said, I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop to get his blessing." Then the angel pulled some jujitsu out, touched his hip, the hollow of his hip, left him with a little limp, right? I guess, but at that time he was then given the name Israel or Yasharal, meaning like it's the prince of the power with God because it means like it's a prince with has power with God. That's what that means. But Rachel was definitely one of the it was definitely one of the names I thought was interesting. I'm gonna pull that up right there. That's in Genesis 20. I want to say it's what Genesis 29. Yeah, Genesis 29 and verse. Well, I'll just put 29. I know it when I see it. Here we go. This is Genesis 29 and verse 6. And he said unto them, as he well. And they said, he is well. And behold, Rachel, his daughter, cometh with the sheep. Now, there's some understanding that Rachel, she's with the sheep. But then when you think about it, her name has a certain meaning to it. So I'm gonna pull that up, pull the interlinear up, and we're gonna go down here to Rachel. Rachel right here, Rahel. So you got the Ra, then you got the Ha, and then you got the La, right? So you got Rahel. Now you're gonna look at this and you're gonna be like, okay, remember the verse that we just read, right? But Rachel was with the sheep. So what does Rachel mean? Rachel's name means ew or you. And if you know anything about animals, a ewe is a female sheep. It's a female sheep. So I, it's not certain that the story that she was named because she was watching the sheep or she was beautiful and bountiful like the sheep. But it was interesting when you looked that up that she was with the sheep and she is a sheep. not not literally, but her name is a young sheep, a young female sheep. So that was interesting. I thought that was very interesting when I was going through this because If you don't know, if you don't really look into the scriptures, all you know is that Rachel was one of Jacob's wives. That's it. I'm like, what is Rachel? What was the significance of Rachel? What was her name? She you, which is a beautiful lamb, right? A sheep, beautiful female sheep. So that could go into the beauty of her because that's how they named things in the ancient Near East, of things of beauty. They would name it after animals and things, bountiful and beautiful things of nature. Another way that we can also uh, come into the understanding of a name is the significance of the goodness of the Most High. Because when you go into my name, it says Hezekiah, but it's Kazakia, which means the strength of God, or God is my strength. That's just to give the Most High praise. I took that name because I believed it made me humble. So when I think about my name, it humbles me to know that I don't do things of my own, but it's the strength of the Lord that I'm here, that I get through the things I do, that I'm actually in this, that I'm actually an Israelite. Because if it wasn't for him, I could be out in the world doing anything. But then when I remember Hezekiah, I'm like, the Lord is my strength. He's the one that gets me through these things. He's the one that wakes me up every day. He's the one that gives me the spirit to want to look into these things and study and just walk in the spirit. He's the one that does this. It keeps me humble. But another time you might do it is when, like, when you're excited, when you're glad, you're happy, you're sad. Some of these times, these influence the naming of the children. I'll say the name, when you think of the names, I go to the patriarchs because I'm familiar with them. I'm familiar with the patriarchs and their names. So when I thought about this to signify the goodness of the Most High, I thought of the first one. That was Reuben. You see that in verse 32. So we're gonna go back. We're gonna go down to verse 32, and this is when Leah's gonna conceive Reuben, the first child of Jacob. He's the first. He's the first one, the firstborn of the children of Israel. All right, so this is Genesis 29 and 32. I'm gonna slide this up so we can have that there. And it reads, and Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben. Like it's now, remember what we were talking about? We were talking about when you get named, it usually has to do with like how you're feeling, giving praise to the Most High, things like that. So when you read this, it continues on. It says, for she said, surely the Lord have looked upon my affliction, because she was barren. Well, not barren. She wasn't as loved as much as Rachel. Rachel was the apple of Jacob's eye. He wanted her, but Laban, he kept keeping in custom with the times or the people back then. He married off Leah, who was his firstborn, married her off to Jacob, and then Jacob served 7 years so he could have Rachel. So his eye was really for Rachel, but he ended up with Leah. So, so you can imagine two sisters married to the same man, and he got an eye out for your other sister, but you married him first, and she felt some type of way. So she prayed to the Lord, and the Lord gave her a son, because surely the Lord have looked upon my affliction. Now, therefore, my husband will love me. Like it's because she didn't feel loved, but scriptures don't really say that. He just favored Rachel over Leah. I don't know how you loving somebody and you making children with them. You know what I'm saying? But what does Reuben mean? Because we said, surely the Lord have looked upon my affliction. So how does that tie into the name? Let's pull that up. We're gonna go down here to his name, and she called his name. That's that same Sham, Reuben, Raabin, or Raban. So that's H7205. And what does it mean? Behold, a son. 'Cause it's kind of an exclamation of joy, right? His name is her happiness at the time of when she had her child. She said, behold, a son. And that's how she did that. That's how he got his name. The first patriarch got his name from that, from her excitement that the Lord had given her a son. That's a memorial. Remember when we were talking about when it comes to the defining of a name, it was the memorial that she had. The son's name is a memorial to her greatness, to her thankfulness to the Most High, signifying His goodness towards her. That's just one point. Hold on, just for a moment. I'll be right back. Salakia about that. Just had to work on something on off screen real quick. Back to the lesson. But we are talking about how Reuben was named uh because of her happiness towards the Most High, saying, "Behold, a son." Probably was up and about, just showing that to Jacob. Behold, look, it's a boy. Because there was no there was no ultrasounds to tell what you were gonna have. You had a child, and then that's a heritage right there. To have a son is a heritage that you can pass down. You can pass down your things down to it. Not to say that you can't pass them down to a daughter, but back in the Near East, having a son meant that you could continue your line, because we know, as it says in Numbers 1:18, that that you are determined to your tribe to be an Israelite by the house of your father. Like, it's not the mother. So that was a continuation of his bloodline right there. So she happy. She like, now he gonna love me because now I can give him a heritage. Now I can give him I can give him a son. Like, it's, and we know that later on he had more children with her, but that's just one of the examples, just to show you how you can get a name. It could show you, it could signify the goodness of the Most High that you have in your life. Mine was that the Most High, He is my strength. That's how I picked my name. Not because it was just a mighty name. I just flipped through the Bible and I closed my eyes and then I did boom. That's my name. I thought on it, and I wanted to have a name that would signify how I felt towards the Most High, and how the Most High has been the strength of my life, right? Also, what I found very interesting is that a lot a lot of these names also were given as, like, to name like different attributes of the person, different attributes of who that person is, right? I'm gonna give an example in Job, because is familiar with the story of Job, uh, and how Job, he went through all these tribulations, and his children were taken away from him, but at the same time he was then blessed of the Lord. And with the children he lost, he was given more children. I guess we'll go down to that right now, verse 13. Actually, I'm gonna start at 12. This is Job 42 and verse 12. It says, so the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep and 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she asses. Right, that's a lot. Like, I ain't got one, so I can't complain. Right, I'm not gonna complain. Like, it's the significance of that is for, like, cattle, livestock, livelihood, and life. Your oxen carry the burdens; they do the plowing. Your sheep provide resources, camels for transportation, And you have she asks us for also for hard labor as well and for traveling. Verse 13, and it says he had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. Okay, so he's got these 3 daughters. Now we're gonna look at this, and he called the name of his first Jemima, and named the second Keziah, and the name of the third was Karen Hapucha, or Karan Ha Pooch, right? Depends how you in which dialect you want to use. But what do those names mean? That's gonna be the theme of this lesson. What does the names mean? Right? Just to show you how you can get a name and how to choose a name, and where you can choose them from. If you want to keep in line with the culture and the custom of our ancestors, right? So remember, he named the first Jamima. So what does Jamima mean? Jamima means day by day, day by day. He just saying like the affection that he had, that the Most High had for him, was day by day. Like it. So that goes also to the symbolic, the symbolism, or yeah, the symbolism. That's the word I'm looking for. The symbolism that we were talking about the goodness of the Most High is day by day, right? Now we're gonna go to the second one, the second daughter, Keziah. What does that mean? Let's bring that up. It means from fragrance, means like a sweet aroma. Like it. So all these things are talking about things that are beautiful. Like it's declarations from the Most High. She was a fragrance to him, because we know that the Most High, like it's when we put up on the altar the fat of the rams and the goats, like it's the Most High loves that aroma, that fragrance. The same thing here. She was a fragrance unto Job, a sweet savor, right? All these things go back to our customs or how we used to name each other. And here we go for the last name. Really interesting name. Oh, I clicked on the name and not the actual words. Salakia. Right. So this one was interesting. I had to go to the Browns for this one because it says the horn of antimony, i.e., beautifier. She was a beautifier. Okay, she could make things beautiful, or the name seems to make things beautiful. Like yes, all of these were these symbols of like beauty that was given from the Most High, and Job gave them names to signify that beautifier, like make to make things beautiful. Like it may not be directly to her, but saying that the Most High makes things beautiful. The Most High gives us things day by day. The Most High is a fragrant, is a sweet savor to us, right? All these things go back into giving praise and honor to the Father, like it's and that all comes through just the name in itself. Now, like it's a lot of things that I learned in here. I'm trying to teach because I learned them, because there's a lot of things that we hold today that come from way back then. Right? Because when I was looking this thing up, when I was looking through this, I was trying to figure out like is how I can bring our custom back to our people. And as I'm learning this, there can become similarities to the customs that we as Black Americans, African Americans, we hold to, and things that are kind of across the board. Like it's one thing I found was that they have what is called, sometimes we're given what they call a double name or a nickname, right? Yes. My best example of this came out of the Maccabees, and I wanted to also I'll bring out another one in the New Testament, right? So I'm pretty sure I can't go to First Maccabees on here. Um, I know where I can. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna bring up the King James Bible online. I know I can get there to the first Maccabees. So we're gonna go to First Maccabees, the second chapter. Okay, I'm gonna bring this up on the screen. Hopefully we can see this. All right. Oh, it's kind of small. Let me see if I can get the text size a little bigger. Mm, get a little bigger. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. If not, follow along in your apocryphas because you should have your apocryphas out right now. You should have your apocryphas out right now. Uh Making notes, you have your Bibles out, pen, paper. This is stuff that you can go back over if you want to, if you came into the lesson late or you didn't catch the beginning of it. But we're in Second Maccabees, and we're in chapter. I wanted to go chapter 2. We're gonna go chapter 2. Here we go. First Maccabees, chapter 2. I'm in Why is this in Second Maccabees? Salakia. Let something look different. First Maccabees, chapter 2. There we go. And I'm gonna start from the top, and it's just gonna give us an account of the names, and I'm gonna give you examples of what we talk about when I said nicknames or double names, right? Like it's and what the double name is, it gives you like a meaning or attribute towards you of like who you are. So this is First Maccabees chapter 2 from the top, and it says, "In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simon, a priest of the sons of this is this is Arab or Orib or Jorab from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin, and he had 5 sons." Now, like if you look at this, you'll see these I's instead of J's. Like it, so that's just something that you'll see in the King James 1611 Bible. But if you're looking at your apocryphas, the red ones, the King James authorized ones, you'll see it a little different, right? Okay, so I'm gonna read out of there because it's a little strange for me to read it on here. So we got the 5 sons of Jonan called Caddis. Now, when you look at this word caddis, it means brute. Like yes, it means he's a brute. Because if you know anything about the Maccabees, these were men of war, right? So Jonan was called Caddis. That's his surname or nickname was Caddis. Then we had Simon called Thasses, right? Now the word Thasses means wise or a man of counsel, which you'll see that if you read the story, you see all this stuff comes to pass, right? Now, then we got Judas, who was called Maccabeus. Now, when you go into that, he's named Maccabeus because he was called the hammer, right? Because what I always thought he was giving out hammer like blows to the foes. That's what I was told when I came in the trip. He's handing out them hammer like blows to the foes. All right. Then we have Eleazar right here, who's called this is Avaron. Avaron means piercer. So this man was sharp with the sword, right? He was a slayer of men. He was the piercer. It actually goes back to the to what they say the sirens. That's the word. The sirens. They used to be on elephants, so they would call them the Iran. So he had the strength to pierce like elephants. So you know he was handing out blows with the sword. So that's interesting. I like how they put that there. And then we have Jonathan, who is called Appius. And this word Appius is, I think this is the most brutal name of all. Appius gives the name uh dissembler, dissembler. So it's saying that this man was taking bodies apart. This man was taking bodies apart. Like it's this, and this is just to let you know that even back then, back in the day, they had little nicknames, right? They had nicknames or surnames for the attributes that they were known for. Say that I like it's my attribute is Hezekiah, then it's the servant, right? Like it's because that's what I am. I am a servant. Like these brothers were men of war, men of counsel, right? That's what they were. They were men of counsel, men of war. Like it's just you can tell by the nicknames that they have, right? So that's just to go to show you also, like it's back then they had them, we have them now. I have another example that's in it's in John 11. So let's go there real quick. We're gonna go to John 11, and I'm pretty sure it was 26. Was it 26 or it was 16? 16. I think it's 16 here. Share this tab. This is from the blue letter. This is John 11 and 16. It said, then said Thomas, which is called, this is crazy, Didymus. Didymus. Or Didymos. Like it, and when you hear this name, this is crazy. He was surnamed, which is also called Didymus. The word Didymus, it it means twin. But nowhere in the scriptures, as I was doing the research, did this word have a meaning of like that it showed that he had another twin. So it's kind of it's kind of iffy of like where like why they called him this, but it shows you meaning double, i.e., or in other words, twin. But I couldn't find anywhere where it meant. So you know, they knew Thomas. This is the same Thomas, by the way. This is the same Thomas they called Doubting Thomas, the apostle. This is him, the same one. He had a surname of Twin. I thought that was interesting. I couldn't find anything on it as I was doing any research of why they called him Twin, but he had a nickname called Twin. So I guess with your names, you can also have nicknames or whatever. Like I'm Hezekiah, the servant. He was he was Thomas, the twin. So I thought that was interesting. Just to know that in the scriptures, there's all kinds of surnames and nicknames, like is that give meaning to who that person is or the things that they do. Right? It's kind of a like a birthright to get a nickname or what we call a double name. And also, when we're going into these things, um, you have to understand everybody's not going to be able to pronounce these names. I know I usually go by Hezekiah instead of Kazakia because some people can't get that. They barely can get Hezekiah. I don't know how many times I've been out somewhere and I just gave they're like, what's the name for your order or what's the name so we know when to call you? And I was like Hezekiah, and they look at me and like, and how do you spell that? Or let me how what? And I'll just be like, you know what, Israel. I just give them a name. I'm like, hey, just put it under Israel. You know how to spell that, right? All right. You know how to spell Israel. Cool. I guess. We also get these names, and sometimes it's hard for us, our names to be pronounced. So even in our captivities and whatnot, we were also given names to fit where we were. They call them complementary names, meaning they try to take the name and they try to make it match. They try to make it match what your name already means. Like it's there's a lot of that. You see that with Meshach, you say Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Like it's the Hebrew boys, right? They all gave them those are all Babylonian names. Those are their Babylonian names. Those aren't the names that were given to them. Um, if you go to the prayer, because it gives you that information. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Balaki, I should have thought about bringing that one up. Duh. Because that they give us the actual names of them. Salak. Give me just a moment. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. It'll be easier that way. Actually, I might be able to bring it up on here. And having computer issues. So bear with me on this one. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Yeah, while I'm looking that up, I guess we had those complimentary names. Where my name is Kazakia, I just tell them Hezekiah. Some names almost go across, like you get the name Yochanan, right? Yochanan is John. Or in the Hebrew, it would be Yaikwa. No, that's Jacob. Salakia. Jacob is Yaikwa, which is the same name as James. So James and Jacob are the same name. James, Jacob, Yaquab are those names. It's the Hebrew boys. Pull that up real quick. Trying to see if I can get this on the screen. There's just so many of these through here. I wanted to bring this up. I'm having some issues, so Salaki, I might not be able to bring this up, but one of the examples I know I could give to you is in Acts 9. So we're gonna go to Acts 9 real quick. I'm not gonna waste any more time on it. So we got Acts 9, and this is actually one of the sisters that were in the temple. It's Acts 9 and 36. Yeah, Acts 9:36. So we'll start at 32. This is talking about the ministry of Peter, right? So it says, and it came to this is let me go ahead. This is Acts 9 and 32. And it came to pass as Peter passed throughout all quarters, he came down unto also to the saints which dwelt in Lydia or Lydia. And there he found a certain man named Aeneas, which had kept his bed 8 years and was sick of the palsy. And Peter said to Aeneas, Yahweh Shah Mashiach maketh thee whole. Arise and make thy bed. And he arose immediately. And all that dwelled in Leah and Saron saw him and turned to the Lord. So now we know we're talking about me. We're talking about Peter and the people who was with him. Verse 36. It says, Now there was at Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha. See, this is a disciple named Tabitha or Tabitha, which by interpretation is called Dorcas. So it's saying that her name was Tabitha or Tabitha, but by interpretation was called Dorcas because Dorcas is the year. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So like, yeah, my granddad, he don't understand when I'm doing lessons. So Salaki on that. He just let me know he's going in for the evening. But where was I at? We were talking about Tabitha or Tabitha, okay, which by interpretation was Dorcas. The heck? Too much is going on. I'm trying to slow down to listen. But we know that Tabitha is the name that she was given, but interpreted, it was called Dorcas. So what does Tabitha mean? So Tabitha is a female gazelle, like his. So that they could keep, so they could keep within the name, to try to keep the name the same. They just gave her the same name in another language, right? And you're gonna see that here. So we see that Tabitha means female gazelle, and then when we go into the interpretation, which was called Dorcas, you will see that it means the same thing, gazelle, and of course she's a female. So where her name in a certain language meant the same thing that it meant in another language, they tried to keep to the same name. So sometimes, like when I have to say Hezekiah, it also means the same thing. It's just in a different language. So sometimes you do have names like that. That's why I use them interchangeable, just depending on who I'm talking to. Same thing, just like our people used to do here. You got in Acts 9, where they were talking about this is her name, but it was interpreted as this, meaning the same thing, but just in a different language. Just like Hezekiah is in the English, and then we have Kazakia, which is in the paleo understanding of my name. Now, these are just a few ways that you can get your name. These are a few ways that our ancestors got names and the names that they held, right? So as you're going in this walk and you're trying to become this new person, you want to put on this name. You want to go through this class. You want to look at how they got names and how it was used, and that might be the way that you use to now identify yourself. Whether we were talking about it was symbolizing the beauty of the Most High, the goodness of the Most High, things that might have happened in your life, things like that that help you along your walk. Like my name keeps me humble. Like you might want to name yourself humble, right? You might want to, and then you might want to give yourself a surname like humble the humble, right? Like yes, or the meek, humble the meek, right? You might want to have that as your name, but it's all through the spirit that he leads you to this name. They were given through different attributes and things that come in life. So you just want to pray and ask the Most High to give you understanding of how to name yourself and what you should name yourself. Like his brothers came across the name they were given to them. Like his, I know Yamea was telling me he was looking up ancestry, right? And then it kind of came to him. And then I think it was our last camp, not the one we had this week, but he came up to me with the Bible. He said, "Look, it says it right here, gracious, right?" Like yes, that's what it is. The grace of Yah, right? Yah. That's what his name is. Yah. It means that. I was like, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, 'cause I didn't know that myself. I didn't know how he came across his name or how the spirit led him to his name. And then he gave me the understanding of what his name meant. At first, I thought it was just Jeremiah, like it is, but it's Yamea. So that's interesting to me. I like these things. I like to learn about our history, our culture, things like that, because I want to lead our people back into our culture, get away from the ways of Babylon or Babylon, the wicked kingdom that we're in, spiritual Babylon, so that we can be a sweet savor to the Most High. We can be beautiful before the Most High. We can be strong before the Most High, and we can reflect that in our names as a part of our culture. Like it's it because I thought this was important. I thought it'd be very important to learn how to pull up a name, how to get a name, and what the meaning behind it. But the Bible has a deeper understanding, or gives you a deeper understanding of the importance of a name. Because I'm gonna pull up. Let's go here. We'll start and we'll go to Ecclesiastes 7 or Ecclesiastes 7. And it reads, a good name is better than precious ointment in the day of death than the day of one's birth. Now we talk about this all the time, that the day of death like is better than the day of one's birth. We talk about that and usually use it in reference to the celebration of birthdays. But it's saying a good name is better than a precious ointment. A precious ointment is rare and hard to find, just like a good name is better than a name, precious ointment, something that's hard to find. Because the rarity of an item makes it more expensive. That's what the precious ointment is. But it's saying, even of that, beyond that, a good name or a good reputation, or like we learned, authority or character is is better than that. So, like the way you live, the way you walk, you talk, those things they are better than some of the rarest things. That's what it's kind of bringing you to when it says a good name is better than precious ointment. Precious ointment being a rarity, that means your good name is a good name that you carry will be more precious than that. Okay, let that sink in. That the good name that you want to carry is going to be more precious than this precious ointment. Right. We're gonna go into some other scriptures that talk about the same thing. We're gonna go to Proverbs 22. Like this. These are all wisdom of Solomon, or all the wisdom of Solomon, right? Like it's Ecclesiastes and Proverbs, and of course, wisdom of Solomon, the book of wisdom of Solomon. They all give you that understanding of this wise man. Like it's This is Proverbs 22 and 1. This is a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. So out of the great riches, say that you can have anything. Anything in this world, a good name is to be chosen over that thing. Because these things, when when we make a good name for ourselves, we actually obtain we actually obtain immortality in a way, in a sense. I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's go to Proverbs 10. It's Proverbs 10 right here, and it says the memory of the just is blessed, but the name of the wicked shall rot. So it's giving you the understanding that, like, it's the memory, like it's when people think of you and you are just, you are blessed. But if you have a wicked name, who gonna remember you? What memorial would they have for you being wicked? Now, nowadays we know that our people don't really, like it. They celebrate all these, put names on shirts and things like that, no matter what you did in life, and they'll be like, "Oh, he was an angel. He did no wrong." But they were actually terrorizing their neighborhoods. They were actually bad people, and you just want to try to have a memorial of the good things and don't not over the overarching character of that person, of how they used to be and how they will remember is by their actions. Like that's talking about the memory of the just is blessed. That's how it's blessed. And it said, but the name of the wicked shall rot. I'll give you case in point. In the book of Sirach, I think the last few chapters of Sirach, all it talks about is the great men during that time. This is before the time of Christ, so you won't find them in this account. But let's go there real quick. I'm gonna bring back up the King James site here. So if you don't have Apocrypha, you can always go to kingjamesbibleonline.org and they have the 1611. It's a little hard to read because it's written in the old English lettering. So U's are V's and J's are I's. So it can come a little, it can be a little hard to read. But if you go to Ecclesiasticus, we'll go to the last chapter. We'll go to the last few chapters. So I think we want to start at 44. 44 is where I want to go. I'm gonna like this. I know I have it on the screen, but it can be a little hard to read sometimes. So bear with me on this. This is Sirach, or a book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 44 in verse 1. It said, "Let us now praise famous men and our fathers that begot us." Now, this is written down in the scriptures for us to remember. A lot of us don't think about that. This has been telling you we're about to go into the praise of famous men. So this is a memorial. That's that memory of the memory of the just right here. This is just an example of the memory of the just, because there are many other ones. In the New Testament, we got Stephen, like everybody knows of Yahweh, of course. Um, but this right here is the memory of the just right here. It said, "The Lord have wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning. Such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned of their power, giving counsel by their understanding and declaring prophecies. Leaders of the people by their counsel, in learning meet for the people. Wise and eloquent in their instructions, such as found out musical tunes and received verses in writing." And that's what this is. This is the memorial. This is the memorial of the just right here. They were blessed. This is the memorial of the just, right? Okay, and then as you go further on, we get the start of them in verse 15, verse 16 actually, Salakia. But I'll start at 15. It says, "The people will tell of their wisdom, and the congregation will show forth their praise. Enoch pleased the Lord and was translated, being an example of repentance to all generations." So we got Enoch right here, his name being a memorial. Verse 17, "Noah was found perfect and righteous in the time of wrath. He was taken in exchange for the world. Therefore he left as a remnant unto the earth when the flood came." Now we got an account of Noah. Jump down to 19. "Abraham was a great father of many. In glory was there none like unto him, who kept the law of the Most High." Now that's a cut. That's gonna be a cut for anybody that said, "Hey, no, like nobody kept the law," right? This is the law before. This is the law before Israel was established as a people. It says Abraham was a great father of many people. In glory there was none like unto him, who kept the law of the Most High and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh, and when he was proved, he was found faithful. And we know we're talking about that account when he was to offer up his son as a sacrifice. And it continues to go on. We'll go on to verse 22. It said, "With Isaac did he establish likewise for Abraham his father's sake the blessing of all men and the covenant." Now, we know when it talks about Abraham, it's talking about the blessing of all men in the covenant. We know what the covenant was, the covenant in his flesh, that was the circumcision. And then we have, it talks about the blessing of all men, meaning if they bless you in blessing, they bless you, but if in cursing, they curse you. You see that? You see that also here, all talking about him. Salakia. It's all talking about him. Verse 22, "With Isaac he established likewise for Abraham his father's sake the blessing of all men in the covenant, and made it to rest upon the head of Jacob. He acknowledged him in his blessing and gave him the heritage, and divided his portions among the 12 tribes did he part them." So everything that was given to Jacob, he parted it unto his sons. right? And this is just one account. This is just a little bit of the account. If you go into chapter 45, it talks about Moses and Aaron, Phineas. Then when you get to chapter 46, you go into, I want to say it was 46 with Joshua, Caleb, and Samuel. 47 is Nathaniel, or yeah, Nathaniel, David, Solomon, and then 48 is Elias, and it just goes on and on. But it just shows you that a name is very important, extremely important, especially a good name, because it will be a memorial unto your people forever. Hundreds, thousands of years later, we're reading about these people, which makes them immortal to us. They are forever living in our thoughts and in our mind, like it's of how they were faithful to the Most High. The Most High blessed them. All the covenants, the promises, all that was established through them. All of this stuff has to do with a good name and the importance of a name. So I want you to kind of remember that as you're thinking about this, and go back when you have a chance, read all the way through, read about the our forefathers, like is, because they are worthy to get acknowledgement, to get their praise, because of them we are in our situation that we're in today. Like it's where we can know the truth and get back to the Most High. Like it's not now that's pretty much the lesson right there. I don't really have anything else on this, because the importance of this is letting you know that you should be looking to come back to our covenant, come back to the covenant, come back to the law, statutes, commandments, put on your customs and your heritage. Let like it's and give praise to the Most High through your name, like it's, and also make sure you don't tarnish that name, so that they see all the things that you do and they give glory to the Father. Hey, lesson short, not too long. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't catch all of it, or you have any questions or anything, make sure you can hit the comments. You can hit up our Gmail if you want to sit around and talk about a few things. Maybe I said I misspoke or anything. Like it's, I'm not a perfect person. Like it's, but as we strive to learn about our customs and our heritage and things, we come across different things and understanding. So if you have a book or anything that you want to bring out or any information, pass it on to your brothers. Don't be a gatekeeper. Don't gatekeep the information. Let the information be multiplied, because it said that knowledge would increase in the last days, right? So let's learn about these things and turn back to the Most High. Get you a name that'll glorify the Father, and it'll be the light to the Gentiles. So that's the end of my lesson right there. Uh, we do have coming up some things. So let me get some announcements. This weekend, we will be out of town. So there will be no camp over there in Houston. It may be our brothers. We may have other brothers. So myself, myself and Chief, we will not be out this weekend because we have other things going on. But just know that we'll be keeping the law wherever we are. We're giving praise to the Most High, to the Son Yahweh Shai. If the weather permits and the Most High permits as well, hopefully they will have our brothers out there. They'll probably be around about 2 o'clock, hosting shopping center. So if you have questions, you're in the Knoxville area and you want to talk to your brothers, come out, visit us, talk with us, because that's what we're here. We're here for our people. Along with that, this what we would call the beginning of the week, or the first day of the week, they call Sunday colloquially. Uh, at We will be having first fruits. It does actually start. First fruits does actually start this Sabbath at the going down of the sun, or in the evening. So we'll be keeping the Sabbath from Friday evening to Saturday evening, and then going from Saturday evening into Sunday evening is the first fruits. Like is if you're not familiar with what first fruits, we'll be given a lesson on first fruits so they can understand that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I can't think of anything else at the moment. But if you have any questions, you want to hit up and get up with brothers, make sure that you hit up our Gmail. Like is, let me put that down there at the bottom of the screen so that y'all know where to hit. If you rock with us every week, you already know what it is. You can contact us at treeselect144 at gmail.com. That's TREEZ elect144 at gmail.com. Just put in how you want to gather. You want to know what a camp spot is. You got a question or anything like that. Hit us up and we'll try to get back with you as soon as we can. Other than that, let's close it out with our verse. So we're going to go to Isaiah 61 and verse 3. It's Isaiah 61 verse 3. To appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he, the Most High, might be glorified. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Um, again, I'm just blessed to be able to give this lesson to our people. I thought it would be important to give the information out. So if you have any questions, make sure you hit up us at gmail.com or go down into the comments right after this video. All right. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. With that, I'm Hezekiah the servant. The water for joining us. Kwam Yashala.